Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 154 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is related to a previous video that I have done relatively recently as well. I briefly mentioned this fish in that video and it's very similar to that other fish. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is bam, the silver carp. Now, the silver carp, or scientific name Hypothalamichthys molitrix. Again, that's Hypothalamichthys molitrix. Sorry, this is I don't think this is a correct picture. We'll go to this one. It might have been. Sorry. I'm not too confident in that. But so, silver carp, Hypothalamichthys molitrix. It is part of the family Cyprinidae, which is a family of carp and minnows. The silver carp is native to the river systems of South and Central China, I believe. It's a little difficult to deal, but you can almost guarantee they're from the Yangtze and Pearl rivers, if not many others. But that's kind of like the general area. It's a little difficult to say where their native range was completely, because they have been introduced throughout most of Asia for a very long time. I think I saw a statistic that it's the second most aquacultured species in the world, second to the grass carp. Asian people have cultivated this fish for millennia, and so they have probably moved the fish outside of its native range long before even recorded history. So it's a little difficult. And not only has it been introduced throughout most of Asia, it's been introduced in Russia and the Mississippi River Basin. Let's go back. We'll just go to this. Well, that's not what I meant. So we'll hit this one here. Because now I'm not even sure that this is one. Yeah, so we'll go with this one. I know that I have a couple that are not. And we'll get into the reason why for that. Anyway, so they have been introduced throughout most of Asia. Sometimes in Europe, well, not Europe, Hungary. You can see this is a photograph from Hungary. They are in Russia, and most people would probably know these. These are the fish that are found in the Mississippi River Basin. Interesting fact, this species is actually classified as near threatened in its original range. So in South and Central China, it's actually classified as near threatened due to the impact of the construction of dams, pollution, and overfishing. However, this fish is not going extinct anytime soon. It is extremely common. Like I said, it's possible. I believe it's the second most aquacultured species in the world. Now, in those river systems, even though they are found in river systems, they do prefer open areas of slow-flowing waters. They can occupy a extreme wide variety of habitats, lakes, ponds, large rivers, things like this. But in large river systems, even in the Mississippi, they actually avoid main channel habitat. So you're going to really find these around the tributaries and up in the, not necessarily the creeks, because they do like bigger than the creeks, but like your deeper but thinner rivers. That's actually a very important fact. Another important fact is, even though I said they can tolerate a variety of habitats, or they can occupy a variety of habitats, they're extremely tolerant. Even though they're a freshwater species, they can also live in brackish water, and they can tolerate salinities ranging from 1.5 to 12%. For reference, seawater is about 3.5%, so they can get pretty salty. Now, I don't know how long they can survive in 12% salinity, but apparently they can tolerate that. In terms of size, it is a large-ish fish. It can get fairly large, actually. They average about 60 to 100 centimeters, which is 24 to 39 inches, and they have a max length of about 140 centimeters, which is 55 inches, and they can get up to about 50 kilograms, which is about 110 pounds. You can see this thing's pretty darn big. Pretty darn big. They are laterally compressed. They are a kind of a narrow but deep-bodied fish. They got this large toothless mouth, and they're covered in really tiny, well, not tiny, but small scales. Eyes are set very far forward in the head and do project downward. And this is where this fish is most commonly confused with its relative, the big head carp. We recently did a video on the big head carp, which I believe this might be a big head carp. I'm not a extreme carp expert. They're both really bad. But I do believe this is a silver carp. Please correct me if I'm wrong on any of these IDs. They're a lot easier to ID when you have them in your hand. I will say that. Another interesting fact is they do have a keeled sternum. You can kind of see it looping right there. It is a soft keel, but it does have a keel, which would be like a boat keel, a V taper. In terms of coloration, they're silver. Who would have guessed? No, they're just this kind of basic super silvery color, which is why these blotches kind of make me think this might be a big head. Also, I don't really see the keel as much. Sorry, I kind of had to rush to find pictures this morning. And if you look up silver carp and look at images, this is a big head carp. Yeah, it's not all your pictures are good. Ignore that picture. But another interesting, just like the big head carp, they are filter feeders. But different than the big head carp, their gill rakers are actually fused, and they have like a sponge. They're fused into like a sponge-like filter. And they actually have a organ that secretes mucus, which helps them filter even better. They're making those gill rakers, that sponge-like filter, even stickier. So as they're flowing through, instead of it just catching on those many fine threads of the gill rakers, that sponge is basically just hitting all sorts of particles. They don't have a stomach, actually, or a very minimalized stomach, so they're actually thought to just kind of feed constantly. Unfortunately, they are thought to compete with native filter feeders, like the paddlefish, and a lot of native filter feeders are actually in very serious condition. I'm talking about North America, by the way. But paddlefish are, endangered. They have their issues. So it's not necessarily a good thing. Now, for the interesting fact that we're gonna end the video on, is the silver carp is sometimes called the flying carp, and that's actually where you might have seen videos or pictures of this, like this right here. So silver carp is often called the flying carp because in America they leap from the water when they're scared, when they're startled. They can leap up to about 3 meters in the air, which is about 10 feet. It's a pretty impressive jump. And when boats go by, these fish get startled easily by the boats, by the motors. So that's why you see videos like this one done by USGS. You can see here just this boat, and they're just scared and they're jumping. You saw that one get some very good big air. And you can also see how many there are. This is in the Illinois River. This is not where they're native to. Zoop, 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 zoop. Yeah, they're absolutely scared to death. So they're fleeing. That's their fleeing behavior. In America, I want to say. But before I dive into that statement, remember what I said. Where these fish are found. These fish are not found in the main channel of the Mississippi as often. They're kind of found up in more of the rivers that feed the Mississippi. And this causes a problem for boaters. Boaters traveling in uncovered watercraft have been injured by these. In fact, there was a teenager that had their jaw broke because this thing actually has a relatively bony head. And basically they were being pulled by an inner tube, and they got scared of the boat. The fish were jumping and got whack, broke the jaw. Water skiers get injured quite often. But I want you to think about it. I said they avoid main channel habitats. Well, the main channel of the Mississippi, that's where your bigger barges and bigger boats are going by. The smaller waters, that's where your water skiers and your recreational boats are going to be. Well, that's where this fish is. That's why there's so much more issue with them for recreational activities versus commercial activities. So that's why these pose a particular danger to recreational boaters. But for the real interesting fact I want to end the video on is this jumping behavior seems to be relatively unique to North America. The ones in Asia and other parts of the world, Russia and things like that, they don't jump as much. And it's kind of weird. You saw that video where they're just all jumping. Apparently in other places of the world, they jump, but not as often and not as frenzied as this do. There's a couple of hypotheses why that may be. For instance, in North America, they just get so dense that it's almost like a fleeing communal behavior. Basically, this fish over here sees this fish get scared, and it's like, oh crap, I need to get scared, and it jumps. And so they're just very skittish, and they're so densely packed that they all just get scared together. So there is kind of that. There's also an interesting hypothesis that the North American population of silver carp, which I believe the silver carp were introduced into the North America in the 1970s, originally as a filter feeder to try and control blue-green algae. It kind of does that. They actually can improve water quality. They filter out very well, but the cost is not worth the reward. And there's some other issues. For instance, they biomagnify the microcystin toxin, but that's neither here. Well, it's not neither here nor there. It's just just an interesting fact. But it's been hypothesized that maybe the North American population, the fish that were brought to North America, were just particularly jumpy, a jumpy group. Basically, the parents of all the fish found in North America just happened to be a small population that jumped much more easily than other eels. So that's just kind of the real reason is just not known, which is it's kind of an interesting fact, and it's an interesting thing to think about. I thought they were particularly jumpy across everywhere they're found. Turns out, no, just North America fish get scared to death and do this part. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated. But regardless, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.